So today's little project, what we're going to do is build a little wall up here and then a cupboard up the top just so we can use this as extra storage space and then block off the front from anyone looking in. So we'll get started on that and see how we go. So we've built ourselves a little frame here, just so we can put some. So we've built ourselves a frame here, just so we can cover the front section and then put something as a backsplash on here. I'll just put this little piece on here to stop it from flapping around, but there's our little door so you can enter that back section. So that's all just holding it in place at the moment. What I'm going to do now is measure out the bench top here, get it all into place, cut out the hot plate and the sink section, and then we're going to varnish it and stain it and then pop it back in later. Alright, so that's not too bad at all. Nice snug fit, so shouldn't shake around too much. What I'm going to do now is just measure out our holes that we got to cut for the stove and then measure out the holes we've got to cut for the sink, so we'll get onto that first. Obviously we don't have to cut out the whole sink, including the dry section here as well. We've just got to cut out the sink itself. So it's 320 by 320 and it's about 370 wide. So if we've got to take it and split the difference, it'll be 25 on each side that I've got to leave for our little template. We should get it pretty perfect the first time. So here's our little measurement. As you can see, there's an outline here of the whole sink itself, and then what we're actually just cutting out, so inside this square here. Fingers crossed it goes well. What we're going to do is just drop the saw straight into it and then fine off the edges later with a jigsaw. Good, thank you.
Really good.
Oh, we're getting there. Every day's a day closer.
Yeah.
So, sink's pretty much in. Obviously not going to screw it down yet just because we want to stain the bench tops here. I'm going to do the exact same thing now with the cooktop. Get it in position and then cut it out. So first thing I'm going to do here is just do an outline of where I roughly want it, and then use that and measure inside of that to exactly how I want it to fit. So obviously we have some restrictions, has to be on top of the drawers, and it can't come too forward either just because where the end of the drawer finishes. So it's going to measure back, see how far back we can go here. So pretty happy with it where it's sitting here. I'm just going to do a shape of the outline here, and then once I've done that I'll measure inside of it and then get the final cuts going. Oh. Easy as that. Works a treat.
So just before we mount the bench tops to the cupboards, we just need to router out some holes for the RV lab latches. Better to do it now than upside down later.
Your hair is crazy.
Good enough.
Oh, rats.
Alright, so here we are just prepping the bench tops before we apply the lacquer by simply sanding with the grain to get rid of any imperfections. We're using a food safe bench top clear coat which requires 3 coats with a light sand in between each coat. It was quite a long and boring task as we had to wait a few hours for each coat to dry. In this process, it's really important to remember to sand with the grain, otherwise you will see marks throughout your work. Once done, the benches came up just how we wanted them, with a light beechwood colour to keep our interior feeling spacious and bright. Now that we have sealed the bench top with some lacquer and routed out the latch holes, it's time to screw and glue down the bench tops to our cupboards. I'm just using some good old liquid nails and screwing from the bottom through the cupboards to ensure a solid fit. Once this is done, we then went ahead and mounted both the sink and the stove to the bench. Alright, now that we've installed the benches, we are chamfering the edges so it doesn't chip the bench and also provides us more clumsy folk a bit of protection from the sharp edges. Paige loved to do this as it was quite the satisfying task.
Well, I can't be in it at the same time. Alright, so I've just cut this bit of fibro and I'm just going to install it along the back of the kitchen sink here, and we will end up tiling this for our kitchen splashback eventually. Here goes.
You want that to be in the video?
Here goes. Maybe I can still voice over. So, just gonna glue. How do you take this out? Oh, this way. See what the boss says? Nothing. It's always good news.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching and we hope you enjoyed it. As always, please like, subscribe and comment any questions or feedback you may have. We aren't professionals in any way and could always improve. Go check us out on Instagram via the link below and follow us for some up-to-date content on our lap around Australia. In our next episode, you will see us putting some pretty fancy tiles in for our splashback and a little more of Fronty the One-Eyed Warrior. Thanks again and we'll see you next time.